Hey there, Amplifiers. Thank you for tuning in. Now, in this session, we're talking about can you really 10x your revenue and impact as a business coach? And I'm going to say, yes, you can. So that sometimes people hear the words 10x, and they're like, wow, that's a lot. And I'm going to say, yes, that is. And that's not done overnight, but that's done through time. And why is that important? Because I know some business coaches that have been around for over a decade, and they're basically still kind of where they were at a decade ago. Now, is there anything wrong with that? No, there's nothing wrong with that. But amplifiers amplify, and it should be a goal to continue to grow and improve and expand the impact that you provide to better serve your mission. You want to help more people, you need to amplify your impact, right? So that's what we're talking about. And of course, revenue. We want to grow and elevate ourselves as well. Put your oxygen mask on first. So it's important to make sure that you're giving more, and in turn you'll be receiving more. So that's kind of what we're unpacking today. Can you really 10x your revenue and impact as a business coach without going insane? Now that's a crucial point because you don't want to be going insane, being overwhelmed, being stressed out, not having the time to really enjoy your life. I definitely have run into some business advisors and business professionals over the past couple of years who are struggling because they're working so hard, so many hours, and they're just making enough to keep things moving. And really, that's just not a way to live. It's a way to work, but it's really not a way to live. So the question is, can you really 10x your revenue and impact? Now, I want you to weigh in. What do you think? Do you think this is possible? So, what are your thoughts on the matter? I'd say I know it's possible. I know it's possible. And if you're tuning in now, make sure that you share your comments because I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you're seeing this live or you're seeing this in a replay, share your comments and your thoughts on the matter. Also, ask questions if you have questions, and I'll get answers for you. And then, take action, do something, gain something from this little time today, and put it into action. Now, I'm promoting a webinar that's coming up that I'm doing with Burke Franklin. Burke Franklin is the CEO of Business Power Tools. And I'm promoting a webinar that I'm doing with him. It's going to be on December 16th. So I want to make sure that you're aware that today's talk is just to start unpacking the question. How does that make you feel when you hear that? Do you believe it's possible, or do you believe it's hype? Do you believe that that's something you want to do? You might see it in my bookshelf back here. I don't know where it's at right now, but Think and Grow Rich. First, you must think and believe before you really can achieve. And so, if 10xing your business seems impossible, then, like Henry Ford said, either you believe you can or believe you can't. Either way, you're right. So, we want to tune in and make sure that, number one, your mindset is believing it's possible. Because if you can't, then you'll be right. And what does 10x actually mean? Obviously, it's multiple of 10, right? But some of the people I've talked with think, I wouldn't want to be that busy. I wouldn't want to go insane trying to 10x my business. And I'm here to put the question, can you do it without going insane? Because we're on a roadmap. We're on a pathway to do this right now in my business. And what tends to stop people from achieving this, having gotten to work with a lot of business professionals and business advisors, is number one, a lack of focus. So it's a lack of focus in many different areas. Lack of focus in who your ideal customer is. So a lot of business professionals that I connect with, they're getting their ideal, or they're getting referred from their customers, which is great. Referrals are great, but they're getting A referrals, B referrals, sometimes C referrals, sometimes detractor referrals. And if you're getting referrals as your main source, while that's not bad, are you getting your ideal customers that way? And from what I'm hearing from a lot of the people that I work with, they're not getting their ideal customers that way. So I want to make sure that you have focus. Now, if you've heard of the 80-20 rule, what you focus on really matters, because you get 80% of the results from your business from 20% of the actions that you take on a regular basis. 80% of the results from 20% of the actions that you take. Well, that's really powerful, because as soon as you can identify what are the actions where you put 20% of your time that deliver 80% of the results, when you double down and put more focus and attention there, that's really how you'll be able to get more traction and leverage with the things you're looking to do. And I've got Mr. Manny Torres joining in. Hey, Manny.
Hey, how's it going, Kenny?
It's going pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Wonderful. We're unpacking the question: can you really 10x your revenue and impact as a business coach without going insane? And
Great topic.
we talked about one of the biggest challenges that hinders a lot of people is just lack of focus. It's lack of focus in many things. Lack of focus in who we're servicing, the services we provide, like really getting niched and being an expert in one area, where we're putting our time, right? And I was getting ready to share before we came on that in the webinar that will be kicking off, we can go to growthamplifiers.com/amplifiers. We're going to go over the 20%, where you put focus in the right areas of your business that give you the majority of the results. So, Manny, what are your thoughts when we quickly unpack that question? Can you 10x your revenue and impact as a business coach without going insane?
Well, I think it's counterintuitive. You think that to grow, you've got to do more, and especially in today's society where it's like hustle, 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 and try and do as many things as you can. A lot of times you forget that you can actually work smarter, not harder, and by pushing a couple little levers across the board, you can actually have big impact. So I think it's something that can be done. I think a lot of people don't take the time to slow down to really think strategically about how they can do that. But that's the powerful part is, if you slow down, you do the right actions, you can make a big impact.
And that's an important part. So right now you're putting time and energy to building your business, your practice. And fast forward as a blink of an eye, my kid is now 10 and my other one is 7. But my oldest is now 10. And that it happened so quickly. So 10 years from now, you could either A, have built something that works one way, or B, having not, and it works another. But that's a challenge that I see very often is a lot of coaches tend to kind of be on this sort of one-way trajectory. And that has to do with them trading time for money. So trading time for money, which typically in coaching, that's very common. I still have some clients that do trade time for money, but we're in the process of making some changes where it's going to be completely different. And in this webinar, we're going to be breaking down exactly what we've learned and how you could change that trajectory by working smarter, not harder. So just thinking about that for a moment, what's the catch-22 with trading time for money?
Well, time is the one thing that you can't get more of.
Right. So you can trade your time for money, and there's a limit of it you have. So once you fill out your schedule, that's it, right? Unless you find another way to scale beyond that. And that's what we'll be exploring more in the webinar. So the last part that we talked about we're kind of unpacking is when coaches are just kind of, they're not productized, so they're creating a lot of things ad hoc. They're not following a process, or they're not systemized, and how they operate themselves as a coach is all over the place. And you may think, oh, business coaches, they've got to be pretty efficient and effective. They coach other businesses, but we get to connect with a lot of business coaches, and it's not always the case. You see that in a lot of professions. You see the tax professional that there is behind in their taxes, the restaurant who doesn't tend to eat home cooked meals, right? Or the chef, it happens. So, when it comes down to looking at the coaches that you've interacted with, because I know we've both been in different programs and connected with a lot of business coaches, what do you think is preventing most coaches or advisors from really being able to do that for themselves?
I think a lot of times it's having that outside perspective. It's really tough to know what's happening when you're stuck in, in the business or working yourself. So without someone coming in and looking at what you're doing and saying, "Hey, have you thought of this in a different way or a different perspective of it?" You kind of get lost and you do what you've always done. So I think it's really helpful to have that outside perspective.
Yeah, I can't tell you, sadly, how many coaches that I've connected with that haven't invested in any coaching themselves. It is a trade that is kind of unregulated. It's like the wild, wild west. And we've hired many coaches and been certified in many programs to help learn those different disciplines and skills. We could help more people, but there's a good percentage of coaches that haven't gone through some of that, and they're kind of stuck, and it's stuck to being able to achieve their full potential and 10x their revenue and their impact without going insane. The other thing I just want to unpack, and I probably should have unpacked this way earlier in this conversation, is the professional who thinks, yeah, I kind of know it all. I've got it all right now. How is that so dangerous?
Yeah, because we've seen it many times, and I love the analogy of things may look the same, so you feel like you're going in a circle, but in reality, you may be on a spiral staircase. So even though things look different, you're in a different situation. There's different variables that are happening. So
Mm-hmm.
by trying something different, you may not get the same result. And sometimes, we have a tendency to not look at the details. So we may do a few items. And I know you use the recipe analogy a lot where, you can't make something if you don't follow all the parts of the recipe. And I think people miss out on a piece or two, and then they just say it doesn't work. But in reality, maybe it does work and you just need to try it, or maybe you missed a step.
And even just doing things out of order can really jumble up a recipe.
Right.
You think, I have all the ingredients in here. I cooked it at the exact right temperature, but if you don't mix the ingredients in the right order, you can have the same problems. So it can be very insidious. And so what I really like about like the martial arts is they get mastery. They work towards mastery of what they do. It's not like, let me just learn a bazillion different types of uh, disciplines. It's, let me learn one and continue to refine it and get better at it and become a master. And I think that's the mindset that a lot of coaches would be better at, is if they really focus on continuing to sharpen the saw and to elevate. So if you're the professional advisor or coach that's like, hey, I already have my stuff together, who can tell me how to improve? Even if all you gain is one tip or one new tool or a strategy that can help you be more efficient or effective, or help your clients be more efficient or effective, it'd be totally worth it. So that's one of the things I'm excited about. We're doing the webinar again. It's going to be on December 16th, and doing that with Burke Franklin. He is the CEO of Business Power Tools. Now, Business Power Tools, they have a lot of templates and tools that businesses could use, but also business coaches can use with their business clients. So again, you may have some tools already, but if you can gain something new, a new tool for your tool belt, it can have a big impact. So that's what we're unpacking. And if you're thinking you can't really 10x your revenue and impact, my challenge for you is to really do some homework on that, because I think you're limiting what's possible for yourself. Any closing thoughts you have?
One of the things that I always see, and I'm sure you see it too, is when you get into sessions where you're working with someone else,
Mhm.
as you're helping them, you always have new ideas that pop up, and you realize there's things that you've overlooked or you've forgotten. Maybe it's something that you used to do that now you don't do anymore. So I think that's really what this session is going to be, is really highlighting a lot of the things that maybe you haven't implemented recently, maybe a different perspective. And it's always a great opportunity to amplify what you're doing.
There you go. So sometimes, even if it's something you already know, if you can refine it even just a little bit, get a new tool. We invite you to do this. This is something where we're sharing some of our best strategies that we've learned in our journey as marketing advisors, as growth coaches, through some of the programs that we found most beneficial. Go to growthamplifiers.com/amplify, register, make some new friends, connect, gain some new ideas to amplify your business in the new year, and better serve your mission. So thanks for tuning in. I'd like to hear any comments you have, any questions you have, and look to catch you on a future cast.